तेरी लाइन में हो रहा है ना मैं सोच रही हूँ तीन चार ऑप्शन
ये कौन है?
वो बेस
ये
मेरे नो बेस नथिंग वाला बेस
जो डॉक्टर्स ने आगे किससे भी
ये भी कैसा देख रहा है पहले
बस रुक इसका लीक दिखा दो
ये
डिजाइन में बिगाड़ दिया ये क्या है
नहीं तो सब लीक रहता है भाई
नहीं 200 की इतनी सी 200 की
हुआ क्या?
अचानक से क्यों नहीं कांच में नहीं इतना सा काम है वो इतना सा सवाल है मेरा
अरे इसमें कुछ और
सेटिंग्स में कुछ ऐसे तो शो कर
वो अच्छा लग रहा है ठीक
ये क्या दिया गया रुक सेटिंग सेट करो
अरे मैं अपने पेज पे साढ़े 7 तक रुक जा और सेट उस कार्ड को जाते हैं मुझे ऑलरेडी कुछ डबल बैंच है मैं कर दिया अच्छा मैं बुक लाइन में
आप पढ़ा
हेलो हाँ
नहीं चाहिए समझ लेता
आगे भाई क्या देख रहे हैं कुछ और देख रहे हैं साथ देख रहे हैं कैमरा में देख रहे
नहीं हम स्ट्रेट है सही साफ
उसमें तो रीवाइज वगैरह होंगे ना मंडे को होते हैं ना
तीनों करेंगे बोलो सब
मंडे को मंडे को अभी 6 होता है ना मंडे को लास्ट केमिस्ट्री खाली आज होता है मतलब आज ही पिछले साल याद है जितना लोग इतना सुना था वो उसने पीछे कुछ लिखा था तो नहीं कुछ तो उसने डायग्राम ड्रॉ किया था जितना दूसरे उसने बहुत से एक बार विश्व का गिफ्ट था वो तो मेरे हुआ था ना इसको लिख रहे हैं मैं नहीं मतलब मेरे पास मैं इसको भी चला and then
No S for engineering.
बहुत छोटे बच्चे oh my god पहले की बोले थे तुम बात पार्टी में थे क्या बोल रही है गाने वापस फिर कभी तो काटेगी ना इन फ्यूचर मुझे बोला तो ट्रिम करेगी ट्रिम नहीं एक तो थोड़ा ऐसा बात आएगी बट
वो नहीं होता
अब नहीं चल रहा
चलेगा चलेगा कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा चल रहा लोग आपसे नहीं सकते वो अच्छा नहीं दिख रही है मतलब
बजिया पति ऐसा भी पकड़ा जाता
गुड ऐसे स्टिक
भगवान को भी
चाहिए कौन सा का किसने बहुत तो भी लगते हैं
नहीं ये फोटो में नहीं है ये कौन चाहिए ठीक
गलती वाली खाली
अरे हाँ
आगे आगे
बैटरी छोड़ी
नहीं तो जी I know. Have you ever seen them? They're so cute. You have to understand because some people are like, I'm like, what is their relationship? And I know what किसको चल रहा है
evening. Last line will come to the front. Girls will come here. Last two get up. One this side, one here. What was the last topic then? Main system we just started. So we had started with the reproductive system. So let us continue. Go through what we had done last class. We are going to continue with the chapter. No, ये diagram you don't have to draw. Now, what are we studying is, we are going to study the main reproductive system and the parts, functions. Now, the main reproductive system, the last class, we just started with the basic organs, functions, in detail we are going to study today. Now, why do we draw the excretory system? Because the reproductive and the excretory system in our body, they are very close. Rather, it is also known as the urinogenital system, because the reproductive system and the excretory system, they are very, very close in both the male and the female body. So we are going to look into this particular diagram. This diagram is not there in your textbook, so that's why you are not drawing this diagram. The diagram there in your textbook is the lateral view, the side view of the reproductive system. So drawing that diagram is a bit difficult for you, but it is there in the syllabus. It comes for drawing. So you'll have to draw and practice also. But right now, first of all, you understand the system well, the parts, functions. Once you are acquainted with the words and the names, the positions, then as it is, you will be able to follow, you will be able to draw. So that's the reason I'm showing you an easier diagram first. We talk about the parts. Which were the parts of the reproductive system? Already we had studied. A pair of testes. Testes, the main organ. Then followed by a pair of vas deferens. a pair of vas deferens. This vas deferens will be followed by the urethra, a broad tubular structure, and the fourth region, the retractile penis. Now that we are talking about the parts, I think last class we had learned the basic functions only, right? So today we'll have to discuss about the testes in detail. But now, how do we label this? Which are the parts? The parts would be, this is the testes that we are talking about, the primary organ. The tube that leads to the bladder. Now, if I talk about the vas deferens, which one is the vas deferens? This one. What is the vas deferens? Check the spelling. Vas deferens is a tube which connects the testes to the bladder. The parts of the excretory system already known, no? So the bladder, the tube that is the vas deferens actually connects the testis to the bladder. So what is the function of the vas deferens then? You should write. What is the function? What was the function of the testis we already learned? Two functions, did I mention? Two functions of the testis, what are they? Formation of the male gametes and secretion of hormones. These are the two functions that you know. So what are the two functions of the testes? These are the two functions. So in the exam, whenever it is asked, you write specific answer. What are the two functions of the testes? Formation of the gamete, the male gamete, and secretion of the hormone. What is the name of the hormone? Testosterone. Now, we'll come to the concept of testes a little bit later. Let us finish with the functions. Vas deferens. What is it? Then what will be the job of the vas deferens? Then the job of the vas deferens would be to carry or to conduct, help in the passage of the sperm. So it is helping in the passage of the sperms and allowing the entry of the sperms into the urethra. Allowing in both the right and the left testes. What is the function? The function remains the same. Many differences about the testes and the ovary we are going to study today. But now that we are talking about the vas deferens, what is the function of the vas deferens? Remember, one major function of the vas deferens that I talk about right now is the passage of the sperm. Passage of the sperm, but from where to where? Here is the conduction of the sperm. From where to where? Testis to the urethra. It's almost at the junction of the bladder and the urethra. So it does not actually enter into the bladder, but actually enters into the urethra. Then, if I talk about the urethra, then what is the function of the urethra? The excretory role of the urethra is something that you had studied. What was the job?
Common passage for the
urine and the sperm. Now, when we had learned the excretory system, that time we had learned urethra helps in the passage of the urine. Here, since we are talking about the reproductive system, we will write a different function. What do we write here? But in the paper, in your exam paper, they will not differentiate. No, that this is a question from the excretory system and this is a question from the reproductive system. If it is a diagram-based question, listen carefully. If it is a diagram-based question, you get a diagram of the reproductive system and related to the questions are there where you are asked to write down the function of urethra. Then definitely you are writing down it's a common passage for the urine and the sperms. If it's a diagram-based question where you get to see the diagram of the kidney, nephron and all these and then the function of urethra asked, you are writing down the function of the excretory system. You may not mention about the sperms. But even then, if it is just as it is, not a diagram-based question, function of urethra asked, then whether you are writing, if you are writing the reproductive role, common passage, this function, then not a problem at all. As it is, you get marks for this. So, what is the function that we write? It is a common passage for the urine and the sperms. Common passage for the urine and the sperms. Now, next is, we are talking about the retractile organ, the penis. What is it meant for? A process known as copulation. What is meant by copulation? The process of the entry of the male gametes into the female body for the process of fertilization And that is what we are understanding as the function of the penis, the retractile organ. Now that we are talking about these different parts, only we are understanding the major functions of each of these organs. One, helping in the passage of the sperms from way to way. Then we are talking about a common passage for the outlet. And we are talking about how, if at all, the process of fertilization to be carried, how this has to be brought in contact with the female body. So that is it. Now we look into the diagram here. Some other features of the testes that we'll have to remember. What are some other features of the testes to come across? Some other features of the testes that we try understanding apart from the functions that we understand. It is the testis is away from the abdomen. Now that we understand that unlike other organs of the body, the testis is not inside the abdomen. Whenever we talk about a male child in the process of getting formed, a fetus getting formed inside the mother's womb, what's happening? In the initial stages of growth, the testis is always inside the abdomen. The testis remains inside the abdomen. Meaning, if I mention a fetus almost about 5 to 6 months, 7 months, till that time, the testis is inside the abdomen. But just before birth, almost about 7.5 months, 8 months, at that time, the male fetus brings about a whole lot of changes inside the mother's womb, brings about a whole lot of changes, and now as the reproductive structures are getting formed inside the body, and the testis starts a little bit releasing or getting out of the abdomen, it starts getting released out of the abdomen, and that's a specific word for it. So when we are talking about what is that one nature, one special feature of the testis, unlike the ovary in the female. So this is what we are understanding. The testis is always away from the abdomen. Now that it is away from the abdomen, what else we are supposed to understand is that yes, it is away from the abdomen and carried, or it is present inside a muscular sac-like structure, and it is present inside a muscular sac-like structure, and this muscular sac-like structure that we understand is known as the scrotal sac. This scrotal sac has a great significance when we are talking about the entire process of formation of the male gametes. Present inside the muscular sac, and what is this muscular sac known as? This is known as the scrotal sac. This is a typical mammalian characteristic. What is the function that you are supposed to write? Maintains the temperature. How? Now we are talking about that this scrotal sac being muscular in nature. Now when I say muscular, what would be the feature? Contraction and relaxation. Parik, move this side. Other edge of the bench. Now when we are talking about the scrotal sac, it's a muscular band, repeatedly I mentioned. Now if it is a muscular band, then what are some of the features? The features would be that this muscular band would contract and bring the testis. It will contract and bring the testis closer to the body. Bring the testis closer to the body. When the outside temperature is very low. When the outside temperature is very low. So this is one feature that we understand. What is it? This muscular sac will always show a feature getting contracted and bringing the testis closer to the body. Bringing the testis closer to the body, more or less trying to increase the temperature of the testis. Because the outside temperature is so low, much lower than the body temperature. So if these cells also show, or if the body tends to lower down the temperature, the testis cells tend to lower down the temperature, the process of sperm production will not happen. This is when the outside temperature is very low. What next? Contract. I am talking about when the outside temperature is very low, it will contract. What is the opposite? Relaxes and brings the or takes the testes away from the body. Relaxes and takes the testes away from the body when when the outside temperature is comparatively higher. When the outside temperature is higher. But now that we are talking about these two features, sometimes it is contracting, sometimes it is relaxing, but ultimately what is to be maintained by these two processes? By these two processes, that sometimes it contracts and sometimes it relaxes, what will be happening is the cells of the testes are more or less maintaining a temperature something around 2 to 3 degrees centigrade lesser than the body temperature. So by doing these two processes from time to time, what is being done is a temperature 2 to 3 degrees centigrade lesser than the body temperature is always maintained. So a temperature 2 to 3 degrees centigrade lesser than the body temperature, is always necessary for sperm production, is always optimum for sperm production. So if I understand that the body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade, a temperature 2 to 3 degrees centigrade is always optimum for the process of sperm production. So for this, at times when the outside temperature is high, the body tends to heat up, the scrotal sac will relax. Outside temperature very low, or there are processes happening in the body where the body heat tends to fall. At that time, the scrotal sac will bring the organ closer so that somehow the sperm production may happen. So is the sperm production happening every time? Every time? No, the sperm production is not happening every time. Just like in the female body also. The gametes are not formed every time only as per. In case of the female body, it is only as per a particular cycle. In case of the male body, it is only due to the fluctuations in the temperature of the body. Whenever the temperature fluctuation takes place, certain hormones are produced and the gamete formation. So it is not a regular process every time. Then what else about the testes we are supposed to understand? That this testis, just now I have been talking about this. Now, apart from that, something now as a difference between the male gamete, the characteristics of the male gamete that we understand, that this testis, I talk about a cell of the testis, what would be the nature? This cell of the testis would generally undergo, I think I must have told you this earlier, and again remember the difference, that if this is a cell of the testis, did I ask you to write down that answer? One question on it. Did you write down? No, the comparison of the male-female gametes and this answer there, I think I haven't done yet. Okay, we'll do it. So now that we are talking about the male gamete, meaning the cell of the testis, what happens? The cell of the testis generally it will produce 4 cells by the process of meiotic cell division. And as a result of meiotic cell division, what is happening? If it is a cell of the testis, I would write that the cell of the testis has 46 chromosomes, whereas each of these gametes, they are having just 23. Now, this particular cell forms 4 cells, 4 gametes, and all the cells have got the same amount of cytoplasm and the same number of the chromosomes. So we would say, whenever it is a process of cell division, meiotic cell division, in case of the cell of the testis, the process of cytoplasm as well as nuclear division is the same. Process of cytoplasmic and nuclear division is the same. Meaning what? The cytoplasm is also dividing evenly in all the 4 cells. The nuclear content is also dividing evenly in all the 4 cells. So almost every cell is having an adequate or equal amount of chromosomes also and cytoplasm also. But in comparison, if I talk about the cell of the ovary, which we are going to talk about later, if it is a cell of the ovary, say suppose, I compare now, it is a cell of the ovary. Is it the same story here? In case of a cell of the ovary, what's happening is, this cell of the ovary will produce 4 cells definitely, because it is a case of meiosis. But even though it is a case of meiosis, the process of cytoplasmic division is uneven. The cytoplasmic division is uneven, and hence what's happening? The cytoplasm gets concentrated maximally at one cell, and the other 3 cells almost get scanty cytoplasm. Now, the proportion is something like this. If I have to draw it very specific, they are much smaller than the ova, much smaller than the ova. So the ovum is comparatively a very big cell. Ovum is comparatively a big gamete with a big concentration, a huge concentration of the cytoplasm, and the other 3 are just having a small amount of cytoplasm, but the nuclear content is exactly the same. So can I write here that the cell of the ovary has 46? Yes. Then what about the cell of the, what about the gametes here? Then the gametes here all will have 23 chromosomes. What is this big gamete known as? This big gamete is known as the ova. And what are these 3 known as? What are these 3 small gametes known as? These 3 small gametes will be known as the polar bodies. Polar bodies. What are polar nuclei we had come across? What was polar nuclei we come across? Polar nuclei was? What was it? What was it in plants? What was polar nuclei? Nobody remembers. What are these? What is polar nuclei?
They would combine together.
They would? They are what? Polar nuclei is what? What are they? Polar nuclei is what? Yes? Why you all are coming? Why you all are going? God knows. Coming and sitting and going, coming and sitting and going, understanding nothing. What are polar nuclei? Ritika? Nothing. As months approaching, what's going wrong with you? Nobody decide, girls? What are polar nuclei? I never expected this would be the response. Yes, what are polar nuclei? What you all are planning for, I really don't understand. If this is your preparation, I don't know, I don't want to say anything, but you may be very upset with your marks. This is not when I am asking a question to a 10th standard student in the month of September, October, answers are like this. Very prompt they are. This is one of the batches I have taught very, very slow. Sorry to confess that right in front of you all. Very slow, lack of interest, no inquisitiveness. Till today, nobody asked me a question that, ma'am, why this and why that? Nothing. You're just coming, sitting, enjoying with friends, going away. You'll be extremely shattered to see your mark, I tell you. Unless and until you tell me what is polar nuclei, I will not leave the class. You tell me what it is. Chapters are finishing, syllabus is getting over, and this is the response. What is polar nuclei? What are polar nuclei? Just see, look at them. They are turning pages. Nothing, no idea they get, no clue they get what it is. What are they? No, what is secondary nucleus? They are not secondary nucleus. What are they? Polar. Huh? I'll break your bones, you talk nonsense, no now. And I really mean it, no jokes right now. This is not the response from a 10th standard batch. In the PTMD also I told you all, nothing, you all are not understanding only what we are speaking. You all are not understanding. Some of you, sorry to say, this X and Y and Z, all throughout the year you just came, sat, went away. Came, sat, went away. I don't know what marks you all expect now. September, October, meaning students are so well prepared. And from you, this was not expected. You are the only hope in this class. Not expected at all. Polar nuclei, antipodals, or what are these? Polar nuclei, antipodals, XL, what are these?
It is present in the ovum.
What are these? What? Hey, kya ye sir? Yes? Female gametes, no. What are polar nuclei? Female gametes. What are antipodal synergies? These are all female gametes. These are all female gametes. Did not we study this? Yes or no? So you should know what are these. Last class also I revised that part and then I started with the male system. Whatever we are teaching, whatever I teach the previous day, this things also last class I taught. Today again I revise and then I continue. But unless and until you take interest, how much can we help you? You have to have your own interest to learn, remember, remember. Till now, September, October, it's very surprising. 10th standard batches are not like this. Let me tell you, very frank. Still now you all are coming, sitting cozy there, one on top of the other. I don't know what you all are coming for. What you all are coming for here. Definitely not to learn. Definitely not to strive for marks. That I can say. I think I can just name 3 of them here who actually come here to learn and score marks. The rest just as it is. Now, when we are talking about this particular concept, now what are we saying is that a comparison when I make, I was talking about this polar bodies. What are polar bodies and what are polar nuclei? Polar nuclei in case of the plant, those are female gametes. Polar nuclei, and polar bodies in case of the female body, these are female gametes. So now when we are talking about a comparison, male and the female, with reference to the testes, I am now talking again, that I just now mentioned that the temperature 2 to 3 degrees centigrade lesser than the body temperature. So this is one aspect I have mentioned. Please try to remember this, understand. Relating to this, I now try comparing the male and the female gametes, and I mentioned that if it is a male gamete, one cell of the testis can produce 4 cells, and all the 4 cells are functional gametes. Talking about the pair of testes, again, the second difference. I talk about the pair of testes that the male body has. Both the testes simultaneously undergo the process of gamete formation. So every single testis has got hundreds and hundreds of cells, and every single cell of the testis undergoes the process of gamete formation. So if I am understanding that this particular cell, this particular organ has got thousands of cells, and every single cell is undergoing the process of gamete formation, and every single cell is producing 4 gametes, is it not possible that the testis produces millions of gametes at a time? Yes. The testis is producing millions, both the testis producing millions of gametes at a time, in comparison to only one female gamete made in the female body at a time. So what is the comparison? Number 1, for the testis, understand what I am speaking. For the testis, one cell of the testis, 4 functional gametes every time. For one single cell of the ovary, only 1 functional gamete at a time. So there is always a big difference. At one time, only 1 female gamete and millions of male gamete. Now, there's a significance for that also. But now, something more that we try understanding before we enter into some other concepts here. This female gamete, comparatively large amount of cytoplasm. And now, this particular cells, very scanty cytoplasm. And the nucleus, the number of chromosome exactly the same. One specific feature that definitely you should remember for the male gamete. The male gametes can move on their own, and this property is known as motility. What is the meaning of motile? Male gametes are motile. Meaning what? They are able to move on their own. This particular property of the male gametes enables the process of fertilization. So now that's the second. Apart from that, since we are talking about the male gametes, the sperms, what is the other feature to understand? The male gametes then generally have a feature that is they remain functional for a period of 2 to 3 days. Meaning they remain functional. They have a lifespan of 2 to 3 days. Meaning what? After a particular period of 3 days, they are non-functional and they start dying out, breaking off. So this particular cell to undergo the process of fertilization, is it that they are present in the male body for a long time and any time they come in contact with the female body fertilization? No, it's not that easy. The chances of fertilization in the female body is very, very less. So now the lifespan of this is 2 to 3 days. What about the lifespan of this particular gamete? The lifespan of this particular gamete is just about 1 to 2 days. Much lesser than the male gamete. So what are some of the differences I had been talking about? We'll have to write down this as an answer, right? Differences between the male and the female gamete, make a table. Differences between the male and the female gamete, make a table. And write down. These are some basic things you'll have to remember to answer various different questions. Number 1, the first point under male gametes. First point under male gametes. Under male gametes, write down. 1 cell of the testis undergo meiosis. 1 cell of the testis undergo meiosis to form 1 cell of the testis undergo meiosis to form 4 functional gametes. 4 functional gametes, that is sperms. All of them sperms. Other side. 1 cell of ovary. 1 cell of the ovary. 1 cell of the ovary undergoes meiosis. 1 cell of the ovary undergoes meiosis to produce only 1 functional gamete. Only 1 functional gamete, that is the ova.
Meiosis to produce.
Only 1 functional gamete. Only 1 functional gamete, that is the ova. Second point you will write for the male gamete, the sperms. Sperms are motile. Sperms are motile. Ovum, other side. Ovum are non-motile. Ovum are non-motile. Non-motile, cannot move on their own. Number 3. Number 3. Sperm. For sperms, you write. Sperms are very small in size. Very small in size. With 23 chromosomes. Very small in size with 23 chromosomes and scanty cytoplasm. Scanty means traces. Scanty cytoplasm. Other side, scanty cytoplasm. Other side, the cytoplasm is majorly concentrated in the ovum. Cytoplasm is majorly concentrated in the ovum with 23 chromosomes. With 23 chromosomes, which is the potential female gamete. With 23 chromosomes, which is the potential female gamete. What did I say? The cytoplasm concentrates in 1 cell, that is the ovum, with 23 chromosomes, which is the potential female gamete. Which is the potential female gamete. Now, one more question that you get is, that a cell of the testis produces 4 functional gametes in comparison to 1 functional gamete in for a cell of the ovary. What is the reason? What is the reason I told you? What is the reason I told you? Reason क्या है? What is the reason I explained you? Know the reason. What is the reason I explained you? The nuclear division and the cytoplasm. Two things you have to write in your answer. Why 4 functional? Why only 1 functional? Why only 1 functional? Because in case of the female, just understand, in case of the female, if all the 4 gametes would have been of the same size, the amount of the cytoplasm would have been less in all the 4. Then the reserve food, cytoplasm always means reserve food. It is a reserve, it is a reservoir of quite a large number of nutrients. Then what's happening? All the 4 having little nutrients. Now these small amount of nutrients could not or will not be able to carry on with the processes of cell division leading to the formation of the embryo. So it is so surprising to know that when we talk about the female body, since the process of zygote formation and the rest of the post-fertilization change, everything is happening in the female body. That's the reason the body is made up in such a way that the cytoplasm gets all concentrated in one cell, so that when this cell undergoes the process of fertilization and gets transformed into the zygote, it has enough of reserve food. It has enough of cytoplasm so that at least adequate steps of cell division can be carried out. So the first thing that you try understanding why the ovum has such a large amount of cytoplasm, because it has to carry out steps of cell division to get converted into the embryo after the zygote stage. So here we will write one more question. That's a text question only. Some more or less the same thing comes at the boards also. The question framed in a different way. Write down. Give reason. Give reason. One cell of testis produces 4 functional gametes. One cell of testis produces 4 functional gametes in comparison to only 1 functional gamete produced by the ovary. Only 1 functional gamete produced by the ovary. Did you understand the question? First of all, what is the question asking you? That one cell of the testis undergo meiosis and 4 gametes are formed. All are functional. But one cell of ovary, when they divide, are they forming 4 cells? Are they forming 4 cells? Yes. Are all 4 functional? No. Only 1 is functional. Now, what is the reason? Write down. During the meiotic division, during the meiosis we are talking about. What is the spelling? Meiotic. During the meiotic division of the cell of the testis. During the meiotic division of the cell of the testis. During the meiotic division of cell of the testis, the nuclear and cytoplasmic division is even. Cytoplasmic division is even. Hence, all 4 cells are functional gametes. Hence, all 4 cells are functional gametes. Full stop. Next paragraph. During the process of meiosis of a cell of the ovary, during the process of meiosis of A cell of the ovary, one cell of the ovary, nuclear division is even. Nuclear division is even, but cytoplasmic division is uneven. Cytoplasmic division is uneven. And the cytoplasm concentrates
Uneven.
and cytoplasm concentrates at one cell which acts as the potential gamete, Cytoplasm concentrates at one cell which acts as the potential gamete known as ovum. Full stop. The rest three cells, continue, the rest three cells known as polar bodies. The rest three cells known as polar bodies. The rest three cells known as polar bodies contain scanty cytoplasm, but equal number of chromosomes. Understood this? Did you get the answers? Did you understand the concept? Now, this was a comparison with the male and female. About the male system, little bit more we are left with. We are still yet to understand the accessory glands in the male. That's the last part of the male system that we have to understand. Accessory glands of the male. The male body again has got two more. Yes.
What is scanty?
Scanty means very little, very small amount. That's called scanty. Function of polar bodies, I will talk about this again later, but just for now, as you have asked, when we are talking about the function of polar bodies, sometimes it is also possible that the polar body gets fertilized with a sperm. Then certain times this will undergo certain few stages of cell division, 1 or 2, 4 stages of cell division, and after that, since the nutrition is so less in them, they cannot carry out the process of cell division for a long time, and they will now start dying out. So quite a number of times in the female body when fertilization happens, this may start giving rise to the fetus, and this also may have undergone fertilization, which is medically understood, but the female body does not understand because this did not give rise to a fetus or an embryo. Because of the lack of nourishment, they have just degenerated. Only in rare cases, if the body is healthy, no diseases, nothing, this may also give rise to an embryo and a fetus. So that is a concept of twins also at times. We'll continue again with this chapter. Read and come. This last month you're going to hear a lot from me if you're not able to give me answers. The moment I ask you something, immediately you should be able to answer. And every time I should get enough questions from you all. Every day I step in the classroom, 5 questions you all of you, I'm not asking one. I should be asked 5 questions. From next class, I make it a point. You ask me 5 questions, then I proceed. Otherwise, I will not proceed. There's no point, no. Finishing the syllabus and you all are not doing good. Who is asking something? Who is asking something?
So theoretically, quadruplets are possible, right? Because there are 4 different ones.
First, you learn the system quadruplets. If I explain you, it will be difficult for you to understand. First, you have to understand the male system. Roughly, you know now. Female system, you have to understand the terms, functions. You have to understand. I tell you everything. I go do how the twins and everything. I tell
ये अरे इधर आगे कोई नहीं है फिर।
ठीक है कुछ नहीं करेंगे आगे तो आगे ले लो आगे
ये वेदांत बता ना तेरे को क्वेश्चन पूछने वाला है।
ए नहीं
लास्ट क्लास में
कुछ भी चल
छोड़ना अपन ने किया था। अरे तो मेरे पास में
आगे बढ़ने के बाद
हाँ